Hi there. I stood frozen at the bedroom door, the late-night silence of our home, punctuated by hushed, intimate whispers. It was a Friday, and I had cut my business trip short to surprise Jennifer. Instead, I found myself the one stunned, grappling with the chilling reality unfolding just feet away. The murmured exchange was barely audible but unmistakable. I recognized Jennifer's voice, but the other, a man's voice I couldn't place, sent a shiver down my spine. My thoughts raced, the fragments of their conversation piecing together a picture I didn't want to believe. "You're sure he's gone until Sunday?" the man asked, a hint of apprehension in his tone. "Yes, sure," Jennifer replied with a confidence that felt like a dagger to my heart. "John has no reason to come back early. We're safe." The casual certainty of her words made my stomach churn. How could she speak so easily, so assuredly? I retreated from the door, my breath coming in shallow, ragged gasps as the reality set in. My wife was cheating on me, right under my nose. The signs had been there, subtle at first. Late nights at the office, secretive phone calls she dismissed as work-related, an emotional distance that had slowly crept into our 23-year marriage. I had brushed off my growing unease, convincing myself that I was imagining things. After all, we had built a life together. Why would she risk it all now? But as the weeks passed, the inconsistencies became harder to ignore. A hidden folder on her laptop filled with romantic messages, her increasingly evasive behavior, and now this undeniable proof, voices in our bedroom that didn't belong. Each piece of evidence had chipped away at my trust, but hearing them together in my own home made the betrayal feel brutally real. I needed to gather my thoughts, to plan my next move. Confronting her now, while he was still here, was out of the question. I walked away from the door, my mind spinning. I needed time and a strategy. The evidence was overwhelming, but how I handled this revelation would shape the rest of my life. In the kitchen, I gripped the counter, my knuckles white with the effort to steady myself. Hiring a private investigator had been my last resort, a desperate bid to confirm the suspicions that gnawed at me. When he had shown me the photographs, I had felt sickened, unable to reconcile the woman I loved with the person in those images. Now, hearing her with him, the betrayal cut even deeper. I couldn't let her know that I knew. Not yet. I needed to gather more evidence, to arm myself for the confrontation that loomed ahead. For now, I would play the role of the oblivious husband, masking my turmoil until the time was right. Taking a deep breath, I left the house as quietly as I had arrived. Confrontation could wait. Tonight, I needed to prepare myself for the battle to come. Jennifer had shattered our marriage, but I would rise from the ashes, stronger and ready to face whatever came next. The following days were a blur of feigned normalcy and quiet turmoil. Jennifer continued her routine, seemingly oblivious to the storm brewing within me. I watched her closely, every interaction, every smile, and every word dissected for hidden meanings. The trust that once defined our relationship had eroded, replaced by a gnawing suspicion that colored everything she did. It had all started with those small, almost imperceptible changes. Jennifer began working late more often, claiming pressing deadlines and meetings that stretched into the night. At first I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We had built a life together based on mutual trust and understanding. But as the late nights became more frequent and the excuses more flimsy, I started to question everything. One evening, about a month before my discovery at the bedroom door, I had come home to find Jennifer on the phone. She was speaking in hushed tones, her back turned to me as she stood by the kitchen window. When she noticed my presence, she quickly ended the call, her expression shifting from surprise to irritation. "Who was that?" I asked, trying to keep my tone casual. "Just my sister," she replied too quickly. "She's having some issues at home." Her answer seemed plausible enough, but something in her demeanor struck me as off. The next day I noticed that her phone had a new passcode. When I asked about it, she brushed it off, saying she had changed it for security reasons. It was a small change, but it planted the first seed of doubt. Over the following weeks, more seeds were sown. I started noticing how she would jump to answer calls in another room, how her phone was always on silent when we were together, and how she seemed increasingly distant. Our conversations became strained, filled with awkward silences and half-hearted attempts at normalcy. The easy intimacy we once shared had evaporated. replaced by a growing chasm that neither of us seemed willing to bridge. In a moment of desperation, I decided to check her computer. It felt like a betrayal of my own, but I needed to know. My hands trembled as I navigated through her files, searching for anything that might confirm my fears. That's when I found it, a hidden folder buried deep in her email account, filled with love letters and intimate messages to someone named Michael. The words were like daggers, each one driving deeper into my heart. I confronted Jennifer that night, unable to keep the discovery to myself. "Who's Michael?" I asked, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. She looked up at me, her eyes wide with surprise, and then quickly narrowing into defensiveness. "What are you talking about?" "I found your emails," I said, struggling to keep my composure. "You've been writing to him. Don't lie to me." Her reaction was immediate. She denied everything, accusing me of invading her privacy and being paranoid. Her words were sharp and cutting, and for a moment, I almost believed her. But the evidence was irrefutable, and deep down, I knew the truth. The confrontation ended with her storming out of the house, leaving me alone with my thoughts and a sense of betrayal that seemed too vast to comprehend. In the days that followed, she apologized, claiming it was a misunderstanding and that Michael was just a friend. But the trust had been shattered, and no amount of apologies could repair it. I decided to hire a private investigator, a decision that felt like a final, desperate act. When he handed me the photographs, I felt a cold, sickening clarity. There was no misunderstanding. Jennifer was having an affair, and the man in the photographs was the same Michael from her emails. Now, as I watched her go about her day, I felt a cold resolve harden within me. I would gather more evidence and prepare for the inevitable confrontation. But for now, I would wait, playing the part of the unsuspecting husband until the time was right. Jennifer had betrayed me, but I would not be destroyed. I would rise from this, stronger and ready to face whatever came next. The decision to hire a private investigator was both a desperate and calculated move. I knew I needed more than just the emotional turmoil and my suspicions to confront Jennifer. I needed concrete proof, something undeniable that would force the truth into the open. So I reached out to a well-reputed investigator named Frank Simmons, a man known for his discretion and thoroughness. Frank was a tall, quiet man with a demeanor that immediately put me at ease. He had a way of asking the right questions, getting to the heart of the matter without prying into unnecessary details. When I explained my situation, he listened intently, nodding occasionally, his eyes betraying nothing. "I'll take care of it," he said simply. "You'll have what you need." The days that followed were excruciating. Knowing that someone was watching my wife, tracking her every move, filled me with a mixture of guilt and anticipation. I tried to maintain a facade of normalcy, but inside, I was a mess. Each time Jennifer left the house, I wondered if she was meeting Michael. Each time she returned, I scrutinized her every move, looking for any sign of deceit. A week later, Frank called me to arrange a meeting. My heart pounded as I made my way to his office, a modest space that belied the seriousness of his work. He greeted me with the same calm professionalism as before and handed me a manila envelope. "I think you'll find everything you need in there," he said. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope and pulled out the photographs. They were clear and damning. Jennifer and Michael together, their body language unmistakably intimate. There were pictures of them at a restaurant, walking hand in hand in the park, and the most damning of all, a shot of them kissing passionately outside a hotel. My world seemed to tilt on its axis as I stared at the images. It was one thing to suspect, to find emails and overhear conversations. It was another to see it laid out so plainly before me. The proof was irrefutable. Jennifer was having an affair, and now I had the evidence to confront her. Frank's voice brought me back to the present. "I've also included a report detailing their meetings over the past week. Times, places, everything. I hope this helps you find the closure you need." I nodded, barely able to speak. "Thank you, Frank. This means a lot." As I left his office, the weight of the envelope in my hand felt like a heavy burden. I knew the next steps would be the hardest, confronting Jennifer, dealing with the fallout, and ultimately deciding what my future would look like. But for now, I had what I needed. The proof was in my hands, and with it, the power to reclaim my life. That evening I sat alone in our living room, The photographs spread out before me. Jennifer had gone out again, her absence now a familiar ache. I stared at the images, feeling a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness. How had we come to this? How had the woman I loved become a stranger capable of such deceit? When Jennifer returned home, I was ready. She walked in with the same casual grace, unaware of the storm about to hit. I stood up, holding the photographs in my hand. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. She looked at me, a flicker of unease crossing her face. "What's this about, John?" I handed her the photographs, watching as her expression changed from confusion to shock, then to cold, defensive anger. "What is this?" she demanded, her voice rising. "You tell me," I replied, my gaze unwavering. "Who is Michael, and why have you been lying to me?" For a moment she was silent, staring at the images in her hands. Then she looked up, her eyes hard and unyielding. "You had no right to do this, to spy on me. This is a violation of my privacy." The irony of her accusation stung. "A violation of your privacy? What about our marriage, Jennifer? What about the vows we took?" Her defensiveness turned to fury, and the argument that followed was loud, painful, and raw. She denied everything at first, then shifted to blaming me, accusing me of neglecting her, of driving her into Michael's arms. Each word felt like a fresh wound, but I stood my ground, refusing to let her deflect or distract me from the truth. In the end, the confrontation left us both emotionally drained. Jennifer stormed out, leaving me alone with the remnants of our shattered life. But despite the pain, there was a strange sense of clarity. The proof was undeniable, and now I had to decide how to move forward. As I sat in the quiet of our home, I realized that this was only the beginning. The road ahead would be difficult, filled with challenges and heartache. But I was determined to face it, to rebuild my life from the ashes of betrayal. And with the truth finally out in the open, I knew that I could start to heal. The days following Jennifer's outburst were filled with a tense, oppressive silence. The house felt like a battlefield, each room a reminder of the confrontation that had shattered the fragile illusion of normalcy. We moved around each other like ghosts, the unspoken truth hanging heavy in the air. Jennifer's attempts to dismiss her actions and shift the blame had failed to sway me. The evidence was too clear, too damning. Yet despite her defensive anger, there was a part of me that still yearned for an explanation, a reason that could somehow make sense of the senseless betrayal. I knew I needed to confront her one last time, to demand the truth and, perhaps, to find some semblance of closure. That evening, I found her in the living room, staring blankly at the television. The flickering light cast shadows across her face, highlighting the lines of stress and guilt. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. "Jennifer, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady but firm. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of defiance and resignation. "What more is there to say, John? You've already made up your mind." "I want to hear it from you," I replied. "I want to know why. Why did you do it?" She sighed, rubbing her temples as if to ward off a headache. "You wouldn't understand." "Try me," I said, sitting down across from her. "We've been together for 23 years, Jennifer. I deserve to know the truth." For a moment she was silent, her eyes flickering with a myriad of emotions. Then she spoke, her voice tinged with bitterness. "You want to know why? Because I felt invisible, John. You were always so busy with work, so preoccupied with everything else. I felt like I didn't matter anymore." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had always prided myself on being a good provider and a dedicated husband. But in my quest to give us a comfortable life, had I neglected the most important part of it? Our relationship? "You could have talked to me," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "We could have worked through it together." "I tried," she replied, her eyes welling with tears. "But you were never there. And then Michael, he made me feel seen, appreciated. I know it's no excuse, but it's the truth." The room fell into a heavy silence, the weight of her confession settling between us. I felt a surge of anger, not just at Jennifer, but at myself. Had I been so blind, so wrapped up in my world that I hadn't seen her slipping away? "I'm sorry, Jennifer," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry I made you feel that way, but what you did, it's not something I can just forgive." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I know, and I'm sorry too, for everything. At that moment, I realized that forgiveness, if it ever came, would be a long and difficult journey. The wounds were too fresh, the betrayal too deep. But perhaps in time, we could find a way to move forward, whether together or apart. For now, there was only the cold, hard reality of our broken marriage. The truth had been laid bare, and with it, the path ahead was uncertain and fraught with challenges. As I stood up to leave the room, I knew that this was just the beginning of a long and painful process. But it was a start, and for that I was grateful. The days that followed were filled with difficult conversations and raw emotions. We agreed to take some time apart, to reflect on our relationship and decide what the future holds. It was a painful but necessary step, a chance to heal and hopefully to find a way forward. As I packed a bag and prepared to leave, I felt a sense of bittersweet relief. The road ahead would be difficult, but at least now there was a sense of clarity, of purpose. I was determined to rebuild my life, to find a way to move past the pain and betrayal. And so, with a heavy heart and a resolve to face whatever came next, I walked out the door, leaving behind the echoes of a broken past and stepping into an uncertain future. In the weeks that followed our confrontation, the house remained an uneasy sanctuary, echoing with memories and haunted by unspoken words. Jennifer and I navigated our separation with tentative civility, our interactions limited to the barest necessities. Each encounter felt like walking on eggshells, a fragile truce that neither of us dared to break. I spent more time away from the house, throwing myself into work and seeking solace in the company of friends who, while sympathetic, could never fully understand the depth of my turmoil. The nights were the hardest, filled with restless thoughts and dreams that offered no respite. I knew I needed a plan, a way to reclaim control of my life and move forward. One evening, as I sat alone in a quiet corner of a local bar, nursing a drink, I made a decision. I would not let this betrayal define me. I would take back my life, piece by piece, and rebuild it on my terms. The first step was gathering more evidence, ensuring that when the time came, I would have everything I needed to confront Jennifer legally and emotionally prepared. The next morning, I contacted Frank Simmons again. He had already provided me with damning evidence, but now I needed a more comprehensive picture. I needed to know the extent of Jennifer's betrayal and gather every piece of information that could support me in the impending divorce proceedings. "Frank, I need your help again," I said, my voice resolute. He listened as I outlined my plan, his calm demeanor reassuring. "I understand, John. I'll dig deeper and get you what you need." With Frank's help, I began to compile a detailed dossier. It included phone records, emails, and even financial transactions that pointed to secretive spending. Each new piece of evidence felt like a small victory, a step closer to regaining control. Meanwhile, I started preparing myself for the legal battle ahead. I reached out to a reputable divorce attorney, Michelle Thompson, who came highly recommended for her tenacity and expertise in handling complex cases. Our first meeting was straightforward and professional, her questions probing but necessary. "John, I need to know everything," Michelle said, her eyes sharp and focused. "The more I understand about your situation, the better I can protect your interests." I laid out the evidence, recounting the painful details of the past few months. Michelle listened intently, taking notes and occasionally asking for clarification. By the end of our meeting, I felt a sense of relief, knowing I had a strong advocate in my corner. "You're doing the right thing, John," she said as we wrapped up. "We'll approach this strategically and ensure you get a fair outcome." Back at home, I continued to play the part of the unsuspecting husband, biding my time and waiting for the right moment to act. Jennifer seemed to sense the shift in me, her demeanor becoming more guarded, as if she too was bracing for what was to come. One evening, as she prepared to go out yet again, I watched her from across the room. She paused, sensing my gaze, and turned to face me. "John, is something wrong?" I met her eyes, feeling a surge of anger mixed with sadness. "Not yet, Jennifer, but soon. We'll need to have a serious discussion." She looked taken aback, but said nothing, simply nodding before leaving the house. I knew the time was approaching when I would lay everything out, confronting her with the full weight of her actions and the consequences they would bring. As the days passed, I focused on strengthening my resolve and preparing myself mentally and emotionally for the inevitable confrontation. I drew strength from the knowledge that I was not alone, and that I had allies in Frank and Michelle who were committed to helping me navigate this difficult journey. With each passing day, the plan became clearer, the path forward more defined. I was ready to take the next step, to reclaim my life and build a future free from deceit and betrayal. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in months, I felt a sense of purpose, a determination to emerge from this stronger and more resilient. And so, with a heavy heart but a clear mind, I prepared for the confrontation that would mark the beginning of the end of one chapter and the start of another. The plan was in place, and I was ready to face whatever came next. The tension in the house was palpable, each interaction with Jennifer strained and brittle. I knew the moment was approaching when I would confront her with the full weight of the evidence I had gathered. But I needed one more definitive push, something that would make it impossible for her to deny the truth any longer. That push came unexpectedly, during the annual corporate gala that Jennifer and I attended every year. It was a grand event, filled with colleagues, clients, and friends. This year, it felt like a final act in a long, painful play. I arrived separately from Jennifer, needing the distance to collect my thoughts and prepare for what was to come. As I navigated the crowded room, exchanging pleasantries and forced smiles, I kept an eye on Jennifer. She was mingling effortlessly, her laughter ringing out occasionally, a stark contrast to the silent tension that had settled between us at home. My heart ached to see her so at ease, knowing the deceit that lay beneath the surface. About an hour into the evening, I saw him. Michael. He was standing near the bar, casually dressed, his demeanor relaxed. My pulse quickened as I watched him scan the room, his eyes eventually locking onto Jennifer. She glanced around nervously before making her way toward him, their interaction too familiar, too intimate. I moved closer, careful to remain out of sight, watching as they exchanged hushed words. The easy way they interacted confirmed everything I had feared. This wasn't just an affair. It was a relationship that had taken root in the shadow of our marriage. The anger and betrayal that had been simmering within me erupted into a cold, clear determination. I approached them, my presence unnoticed until I was almost upon them. Jennifer looked up, her eyes widening in shock, and then narrowing in a mixture of anger and fear. Michael stepped back, clearly unsure of how to react. "John," Jennifer started, her voice tinged with false bravado. "What are you doing here?" I ignored her question, turning my gaze to Michael. "So, this is the man who's been sleeping with my wife." Michael's face turned pale, and he stammered, I didn't know she was married." "Save it," I snapped, my anger finally breaking through. "I've seen the emails, the photos, I know everything." Jennifer reached out, trying to touch my arm, but I pulled away. "John, please, let's talk about this privately." "There's nothing left to talk about," I replied, my voice cold and controlled. "You've lied to me, betrayed me, and now everyone here can see the truth." People around us had started to notice, their conversations dying down as they watched the unfolding drama. Jennifer's face flushed with humiliation, and for a moment, I felt a pang of regret for exposing her so publicly. But it was fleeting. The years of deceit and betrayal outweighed any sympathy I might have felt. I turned to leave, and my decision was made. "I'll see you at home. We'll discuss the details of the divorce then." As I walked away, the weight of my decision settled on me, mingled with a strange sense of relief. The confrontation was over, the final straw that broke the facade of our marriage. I felt a clarity I hadn't experienced in months, a resolve to move forward and rebuild my life. The drive home was a blur, my mind replaying the confrontation over and over. When I arrived, I sat in the car for a moment, gathering my thoughts before stepping into the house that had been both a home and a battleground. Jennifer arrived shortly after, her face streaked with tears. She stood in the doorway, looking lost and broken. For a moment, I almost reached out to her, the years of shared memories pulling at my heart, but I steeled myself, knowing that reconciliation was impossible. "We need to talk," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Not tonight," I replied, my tone firm but not unkind. "We've said enough. Tomorrow we'll start discussing the divorce. Tonight I need space." She nodded, her shoulders slumping in defeat. As she made her way upstairs, I felt a sense of finality. The marriage we had built, the life we had shared, was over. But with that ending came a new beginning, a chance to reclaim my life and find peace. I spent the night in the guest room, the silence a stark contrast to the tumultuous events of the evening. As I lay there staring at the ceiling, I felt a mix of sadness and relief. The road ahead would be difficult, filled with challenges and heartache, but I was ready to face it. With the confrontation behind me, I knew the hardest part was over. Now, it was time to focus on the future, to heal and rebuild. And with each passing day, I would grow stronger, ready to embrace whatever came next. The morning after the confrontation at the gala, the house was steeped in an uncomfortable silence. Jennifer and I avoided each other, each lost in our thoughts. The reality of the situation had settled in, and it was clear that there was no turning back. We were on the path to divorce, and there was no escaping it. I woke up early and made my way to the kitchen, the familiar routine of brewing coffee providing a small measure of comfort. As the aroma filled the room, I found myself reflecting on the years Jennifer and I had spent together. There were good times, of course, moments of laughter and love that now felt distant and almost surreal. But those memories were overshadowed by the pain of betrayal, the knowledge that our marriage had been built on a foundation that ultimately crumbled. Jennifer emerged from the bedroom, her eyes red and puffy from a night of crying. She paused at the doorway, as if unsure of her welcome. I poured her a cup of coffee and set it on the table, a silent gesture of goodwill despite the circumstances. "We need to talk," I said, breaking the silence, "about how we're going to handle this." She nodded, taking a seat across from me. "I know. I'm sorry, John, for everything." Her apology, though sincere, did little to ease the hurt. But it was a start, and we both needed to find a way to move forward. I laid out my plan, the steps I'd already taken with the help of Frank and Michelle, and the next steps we needed to take to finalize the divorce. "We need to be practical," I said, my voice calm but firm. "This is going to be difficult for both of us, but we need to approach it with clear heads." Jennifer listened quietly, nodding in agreement. "I understand. I'll cooperate fully." With the initial conversation out of the way, I felt a small measure of relief. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Over the next few days, we began the process of untangling our lives, dividing assets, and discussing the logistics of the divorce. It was painful, but necessary. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself slowly beginning to heal. I spent more time at work, immersing myself in projects and tasks that kept my mind occupied. I reached out to friends and family, finding support and solace in their company. The nights were still difficult, filled with restless thoughts and memories, but I was determined to move forward. One evening, I received a call from Michelle. "John, we've made significant progress," she said, her voice confident. "I believe we can finalize the divorce within the next few months." The news was bittersweet. The end of my marriage was approaching, but with it came the promise of a new beginning. "Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate everything you've done." "You're welcome. Stay strong, John. You're doing the right thing." Her words bolstered my resolve. I knew the road ahead would still be challenging, but I was ready to face it. Each day brought new opportunities to gather strength, to rebuild my life on my terms. Jennifer and I continued to live under the same roof, but our interactions were minimal. The once familiar comfort of our home had been replaced by a cold, uncomfortable truce. We both knew it was only a matter of time before we would go our separate ways. One morning, as I sat in the kitchen sipping my coffee and reading the news, Jennifer joined me. She looked tired, the weight of our situation evident in her eyes. "I've been thinking," she began, her voice tentative. "Maybe it's time for me to move out." I nodded, knowing this was the right decision. "I agree. It will be easier for both of us." We discussed the logistics, agreeing that she would stay with a friend until she could find a more permanent place. It was a difficult conversation, filled with sadness and a sense of finality, but it was necessary. The day Jennifer moved out, the house felt emptier than ever. I wandered through the rooms, the silence almost deafening. But with that emptiness came a sense of possibility, a blank canvas on which to paint the next chapter of my life. I reached out to friends, rekindling old connections and forging new ones. I joined a gym, finding solace in the physical exertion and the camaraderie of others. Slowly, I began to piece together a new routine, one that was mine and mine alone. As the weeks turned into months, I felt myself growing stronger and more resilient. The pain of betrayal was still there, but it no longer defined me. I was ready to embrace the future, whatever it held. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose and determination, I faced each day with the knowledge that I could and would rebuild my life. The journey was far from over, but I was ready for whatever came next. The house felt both emptier and more liberating after Jennifer moved out. There was a strange comfort in the solitude, a quietness that allowed me to gather my thoughts and plan my next steps. It was time to face the legal battle head-on, to ensure that the divorce would proceed as smoothly as possible, despite the emotional turmoil. I scheduled another meeting with Michelle, my attorney, to finalize the details of our strategy. Her office, with its sleek decor and professional ambiance, had become a place of reassurance for me. Michelle greeted me with her usual confident demeanor, her sharp eyes conveying both empathy and determination. "John, we're ready to move forward," she said, motioning for me to take a seat. "I've reviewed all the evidence and outlined a solid case. We'll be pushing for a fair division of assets, considering the infidelity and emotional distress you've experienced." I nodded, feeling a mix of apprehension and relief. "Thank you, Michelle. I trust your judgment. What's our next step?" "We'll be serving Jennifer with the divorce papers," she explained. "Given the evidence we have, I anticipate she'll cooperate, but we need to be prepared for any resistance. Once she's served, we'll proceed with the negotiations." The thought of officially serving Jennifer with divorce papers felt heavy but necessary. It was the formal beginning of the end, a step that would bring closure, but also stir up the emotions we had both been trying to manage. I knew it had to be done, and I was ready. A few days later, I received a call from Frank Simmons, the private investigator who had helped me gather evidence. "John, I've completed the final report," he said. "It's comprehensive, covering all the interactions between Jennifer and Michael over the past few months." "Thank you, Frank," I replied. "Your work has been invaluable." With the final report in hand, I met with Michelle again to review the evidence and prepare for the negotiations. The photos, emails, and financial records painted a clear picture of Jennifer's infidelity and deception. It was painful to see it all laid out so starkly, but it also strengthened my resolve to move forward. The day we served Jennifer with the divorce papers, I felt a mix of dread and determination. I knew she would be hurt and angry, but there was no avoiding it. This was the only path to reclaiming my life and finding a way to move on. Jennifer's reaction was as expected: shock, followed by anger, and then a resigned acceptance. She knew there was no fighting the evidence, no denying the truth that had come to light. We agreed to meet with our respective attorneys to discuss the terms and try to reach an amicable settlement. The negotiation meetings were tense and emotionally charged. Jennifer's attorney, a sharp and determined woman named Lisa, was professional yet firm in her approach. Michelle and Lisa sparred over the details, each advocating fiercely for their client. I sat across from Jennifer, the physical distance mirroring the emotional chasm that had grown between us. "John deserves a fair settlement," Michelle argued. "Considering the circumstances, we're seeking a larger portion of the marital assets and alimony to account for the emotional distress caused by Jennifer's infidelity." Lisa countered, "While we acknowledge the infidelity, we must also consider Jennifer's contributions to the marriage and her financial needs moving forward." Back and forth they went, the negotiations a delicate dance of give and take. Despite the emotional strain, I remained focused on the end goal, a fair and just settlement that would allow me to rebuild my life. After several sessions, we finally reached an agreement. The division of assets was fair, and Jennifer agreed to pay alimony for a set period. It wasn't easy, but it was a resolution that allowed both of us to move forward. As I left the final negotiation meeting, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The battle had been fought, and while the scars would remain, there was a sense of closure and a path forward. I was free to rebuild my life, to find new purpose and happiness. The following weeks were a whirlwind of legal paperwork and final arrangements. I signed the divorce decree with a mixture of sadness and relief. It was done. The marriage that had once been my foundation was officially over. I took a deep breath and looked toward the future with cautious optimism. The battle had been difficult, but I'd emerged stronger and more determined. The journey of healing and rebuilding was far from over, but I was ready to face it head-on, knowing that the worst was behind me. And so, with the legal battle behind me and the path ahead clear, I began to take the first steps toward a new beginning, ready to embrace whatever came next with resilience and hope. The divorce was finalized, and with it, a chapter of my life came to a definitive close. The house, now devoid of Jennifer's presence, felt both emptier and strangely liberating. The silence, once oppressive, now carried a sense of peace and potential. It was time to rebuild, turn the page, and start anew. I decided to move to a new city. The memories embedded in every corner of our old home were too vivid, too painful. A fresh start required a new environment, one free from the ghosts of the past. After careful consideration, I chose a city that had always intrigued me, Seattle. It was far enough to feel like a new beginning, yet close enough to stay connected with friends and family. The move was a whirlwind of packing, planning, and farewells. I sold the house and found a cozy apartment in a vibrant neighborhood in Seattle. The change of scenery was invigorating, and the city's energy gave me a sense of optimism. It was the perfect place to rediscover myself and start anew. My first few weeks in Seattle were a blend of exploration and introspection. I walked through the bustling markets, savored the coffee shops, and immersed myself in the culture of the city. Each day was a step away from the past and a step toward a future that I was determined to shape on my terms. One of my first decisions was to join a gym. Physical fitness had always been important to me, but during the turmoil of the past months, it had taken a back seat. The gym became my sanctuary, a place where I could channel my emotions into something positive. The routine of exercise, the camaraderie of fellow gym-goers, and the tangible progress in my fitness levels were all empowering. It was at the gym that I met Laura. She was a fitness trainer, full of energy and positivity. Our paths crossed during a morning workout session, and we struck up a conversation. There was an immediate connection, an ease in our interaction that felt refreshing. Laura was kind, understanding, and had an infectious enthusiasm for life. Over the next few weeks, our conversations turned into shared coffee breaks, then lunches, and eventually dinners. Laura became a friend, a confidant, and a source of encouragement. She had her own story of heartbreak and recovery, and our shared experiences created a bond that felt genuine and comforting. One evening, as we sat in a cozy cafe overlooking the waterfront, Laura asked me about my plans for the future. Her question, though simple, sparked a realization within me. For so long, my life had been defined by the past, by the betrayal, the pain, and the legal battles. It was time to focus on the future, set new goals, and pursue new dreams. I want to start my own business, I said, surprising myself with the clarity of my response. I've always had a passion for technology and innovation. I think it's time to turn that passion into something tangible. Laura's eyes lit up. That's amazing, John. What kind of business? We spent the next few hours brainstorming ideas, discussing potential ventures, and mapping out possibilities. Laura's enthusiasm was contagious, and by the end of the evening, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The idea of starting a tech consulting firm began to take shape, a business that would leverage my skills and experience in the industry. With Laura's encouragement and my newfound determination, I began laying the groundwork for my business. I researched the market, reached out to potential clients, and developed a business plan. The process was challenging but invigorating, a far cry from the emotional turmoil of the past year. As my business started to gain traction, I realized that the move to Seattle had been more than just a change of scenery. It had been a catalyst for transformation, a chance to rediscover my passions and rebuild my life on a foundation of resilience and hope. My relationship with Laura also evolved. What had started as a supportive friendship blossomed into something deeper. We found joy in each other's company, a connection that felt both natural and profound. Laura had become a significant part of my new beginning, a reminder that life could still offer happiness and love, even after heartbreak. One evening as we walked along the waterfront, Laura turned to me with a smile. "You know, John, you've come a long way. I am proud of you." Her words touched me deeply. "Thank you, Laura. I couldn't have done it without you." She shook her head. "You've had the strength all along. I just helped you see it." As we stood there, watching the sunset over the water, I felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had led me to a place of new beginnings and endless possibilities. I was ready to embrace the future, knowing that I had the strength to face whatever came next. And so, with Laura by my side and a renewed sense of purpose, I looked forward to the next chapter of my life. The past was behind me, and the future was mine to create. It was a new beginning, a fresh start, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms. The months that followed were a whirlwind of activity and excitement. My tech consulting firm, named Innovatech Solutions, started to take shape. The initial steps were daunting: securing funding, finding the right team, and establishing a client base. But each challenge was a new opportunity to learn and grow. With Laura's unwavering support and my renewed sense of purpose, I dived headfirst into the business. Laura, with her background in fitness and wellness, became an unexpected but invaluable advisor. Her insights into creating a positive, motivating work environment helped shape the culture of Innovatech Solutions from the ground up. Our small team operated out of a modest office space in downtown Seattle. It wasn't much, but it was ours. Every day was filled with brainstorming sessions, client meetings, and late-night coding marathons. The work was demanding, but the sense of progress and accomplishment was incredibly rewarding. One of our first major clients was a local startup developing an innovative health app. They needed help refining their product and scaling it for a broader market. Our team jumped at the chance, and the project became a proving ground for our skills and expertise. As we worked closely with the startup, I saw how our efforts directly impacted their success. The app's user base grew, and the client's enthusiasm and gratitude were palpable. It was a tangible reminder of why I had started Innovatech Solutions in the first place: to make a difference, to drive innovation, and to help others achieve their dreams. Outside of work, my relationship with Laura continued to flourish. We spent our weekends exploring Seattle's vibrant neighborhoods, hiking in the surrounding mountains, and simply enjoying each other's company. Her presence in my life was a source of constant joy and inspiration. One Saturday morning, as we strolled through Pike Place Market, Laura turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "John, have you ever thought about expanding Innovatech services?" I raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Well," she began, "you're already helping tech startups with their products. Why not offer wellness programs for their teams too? I've seen firsthand how a healthy, motivated team can drive success." The idea was intriguing. Combining my passion for technology with Laura's expertise in wellness could create a unique niche for Innovatech Solutions. We spent the rest of the day discussing how we could integrate wellness initiatives into our consulting services. Over the next few weeks, we developed a comprehensive wellness program tailored for tech companies. It included everything from ergonomic workspace assessments to fitness and nutrition workshops. We reached out to a few of our clients, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. They saw the value in investing in their team's well-being, and we soon had several companies signed up for our new program. The success of the wellness initiative reinforced the idea that Innovatech Solutions was on the right path. We were not just a consulting firm, we were partners in our clients' journeys, helping them build better products and foster healthier, more productive teams. As the business grew, so did our team. We hired talented developers, designers, and wellness experts who shared our vision and passion. The office buzzed with creativity and collaboration, and I felt a deep sense of pride in what we were building. One evening, as Laura and I sat on the balcony of my apartment, watching the city lights twinkle below, she leaned her head on my shoulder. "You've come so far, John. I'm so proud of you." I smiled, wrapping an arm around her. "We've come so far. I couldn't have done this without you, Laura." She looked up at me, her eyes shining with love. "We make a good team, don't we?" "The best," I agreed, feeling a swell of gratitude and happiness. As I looked out over the city, I realized how much my life had changed since those dark days of betrayal and heartache. Innovatech Solutions was thriving. My relationship with Laura was stronger than ever, and I felt a sense of fulfillment and purpose that I hadn't felt in years. The journey had been long and difficult, filled with unexpected twists and turns. But through it all, I discovered a strength and resilience within myself that I never knew existed. With Laura by my side and a thriving business to nurture, I was ready to face whatever the future held. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and optimism, I embraced the new chapter of my life. The dream was no longer just a dream. It was a reality, built on the foundations of hard work, determination, and love. The future was bright, and I was ready to seize it with both hands. With Innovatech Solutions thriving and my relationship with Laura deepening, life seemed to be moving in a positive direction. However, despite the new beginnings and the accomplishments, there were still unresolved emotions and loose ends from my past that needed addressing. The ghosts of my previous life, particularly the unresolved issues with Jennifer, lingered in the back of my mind. It was time to confront those lingering shadows, to truly move forward. One evening, as Laura and I enjoyed a quiet dinner at home, she noticed my distraction. "John, you've been a bit distant lately. Is everything okay?" she asked gently. I sighed, setting down my fork. "I've been thinking a lot about the past, about Jennifer. I feel like there are things I need to resolve, conversations that were left unfinished." Laura reached across the table and took my hand. "Sometimes facing the past is the only way to truly move on. Do you want to talk to her?" I nodded. "I think I need to. For closure. For both of us." With Laura's support, I decided to reach out to Jennifer. It was a difficult decision, but one that felt necessary. I wanted to clear the air, to lay to rest the lingering resentment and pain. I sent Jennifer a message, asking if we could meet and talk. To my surprise, she agreed almost immediately. We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe, a neutral place where we could have a candid conversation. As I walked in, I saw Jennifer already seated, looking contemplative. She glanced up as I approached, her expression a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "Hi, John," she greeted me softly. "Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for agreeing to meet," I replied, taking a seat across from her. For a moment we sat in silence, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. Finally, Jennifer broke the silence. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything that happened," she began. "I know I hurt you deeply, and I'm truly sorry for that. I was in a bad place, and I made terrible choices." I nodded, appreciating her honesty. "I've had a lot of time to reflect too. It was a painful time for both of us, but I've come to realize that holding on to that pain doesn't help anyone. I needed to meet you today to tell you that I forgive you, Jennifer. I want us both to find peace and move on." Jennifer's eyes filled with tears, and she reached out to squeeze my hand. "Thank you, John. That means more than you know. I've been carrying a lot of guilt, and your forgiveness is a gift." We talked for a while longer, sharing our experiences since the divorce and acknowledging the mistakes we both made. It was a cathartic conversation, one that allowed us to part on amicable terms. As I left the cafe, I felt a sense of relief and closure that had been eluding me for so long. Returning home, I shared the experience with Laura. "It was difficult, but it felt right," I told her. "I think we both needed that closure." Laura smiled, wrapping her arms around me. "I'm proud of you, John. It takes a lot of strength to face the past and forgive." With the weight of unresolved issues lifted, I felt lighter and more at peace. It was as if a door had finally closed, allowing me to fully embrace the present and future. My relationship with Laura grew even stronger, our bond deepened by the honesty and support we shared. In the following months, Innovatech Solutions continued to flourish. We expanded our wellness program, adding new services and workshops that were well received by our clients. The business became more than just a professional venture. It was a community, a place where people could grow, innovate, and thrive. One evening, as Laura and I sat on our balcony watching the sunset, I reflected on the journey that had brought me here. From the depths of betrayal and heartache, I had rebuilt my life, finding new purpose and love. The past was no longer a shadow over my present. It was a part of my story that had shaped who I had become. "Life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it?" Laura mused, her head resting on my shoulder. "It does," I agreed, and am grateful for every twist and turn that led me to this moment. As we watched the last rays of the sun disappear over the horizon, I felt a profound sense of contentment. The future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. With Laura by my side and a clear path ahead, I was ready to face whatever came next, knowing that I had the strength, resilience, and love to overcome any challenge. And so, with the past finally laid to rest, I embraced the new chapter of my life, eager to see where the journey would take me. With the past finally behind me, my life in Seattle took on a new rhythm. Innovatech Solutions was thriving. My relationship with Laura was stronger than ever, and I felt a renewed sense of purpose and joy. It was time to rediscover the passions and interests that I had set aside during the tumultuous years of my marriage and its aftermath. One of the first things I decided to do was take up sailing, a hobby I had enjoyed in my younger years, but had abandoned due to the demands of life and work. Seattle's proximity to the water made it the perfect place to reignite this passion. I enrolled in a sailing course at a local marina, eager to get back on the water. The first day of the course was exhilarating. As I stepped onto the sailboat, the familiar scent of salt water and the feel of the sea breeze brought back a flood of memories. The instructor, an experienced sailor named Tom, welcomed me aboard with a friendly smile. "Ready to set sail?" he asked, his enthusiasm infectious. "Absolutely," I replied, feeling a surge of excitement. As we navigated the waters of Puget Sound, I found myself rediscovering the joy of sailing. The challenge of reading the wind, adjusting the sails, and working with the elements was both invigorating and calming. It was a perfect escape, a way to connect with nature and clear my mind. Laura was incredibly supportive of my newfound passion. She joined me on the weekends, and we spent hours exploring the coastline, discovering hidden coves and quiet beaches. Sailing together brought us even closer, strengthening our bond and creating new memories. One sunny Saturday, as we anchored in a secluded bay, Laura turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "John, have you ever thought about organizing sailing retreats for your clients? It could be a unique way to combine your love for sailing with your business." The idea was intriguing. "That's a great idea, Laura. A sailing retreat could be an amazing team-building experience and a chance for people to disconnect and recharge." We spent the rest of the day brainstorming and discussing how we could integrate sailing retreats into Innovative Solutions' wellness program. The concept was unique, and the more we talked about it, the more excited we became. The first Innovatech sailing retreat was planned for the following month. We invited a select group of clients, offering them a weekend of sailing, team-building activities, and wellness workshops. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and the retreat was a resounding success. Clients appreciated the opportunity to relax, bond with their teams, and gain new perspectives in a beautiful natural setting. The success of the retreat reinforced the idea that Innovatech Solutions was not just about technology and innovation, but also about fostering a holistic approach to well-being. We decided to make the sailing retreats a regular offering, each one tailored to meet the specific needs of our clients. As Innovatech continued to grow, I found myself more fulfilled than ever. The business was a reflection of my journey, resilient, innovative, and focused on making a positive impact. Laura and I continued to explore new ideas, always looking for ways to expand and improve our services. One evening, after a particularly successful retreat, Laura and I sat on the deck of our sailboat, watching the stars twinkle above. The water was calm, and the gentle rocking of the boat was soothing. "I'm so proud of what we've built, John," Laura said, her voice filled with warmth. "You've come so far, and Innovatech is making such a difference in people's lives." I smiled, wrapping my arm around her. "We've built this together, Laura. Your support and ideas have been invaluable. I couldn't have done it without you." As we sat there, enjoying the quiet beauty of the night, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. The journey had been challenging, but it had led me to a place of fulfillment and happiness. I had rediscovered old passions and found new ones, built a thriving business, and formed a loving relationship with Laura. The future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. With Laura by my side and Innovatech Solutions continuing to grow, I was excited to see where the journey would take us next. The joy of rediscovery had not only enriched my life, but also strengthened the bond between us and the community we were building. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and anticipation, I embraced the next chapter of my life, ready to face whatever adventures awaited. The past was a memory, the present a gift, and the future a canvas waiting to be painted with new experiences and dreams. With the success of Innovatech Solutions and our sailing retreats, life was bustling with new opportunities. However, I was always looking for ways to innovate and expand our horizons. The positive feedback from our clients fueled my desire to explore new avenues and push the boundaries of what our company could offer. One day during a routine team meeting, one of our lead developers, Alex, brought up an interesting idea. "John, have you ever considered branching out into educational workshops? We have a lot of expertise here that could benefit startups and tech enthusiasts who are just starting." The idea resonated with me immediately. "That's a fantastic idea, Alex. We've built a lot of knowledge and skills over the years. Sharing that through workshops could be incredibly valuable, not just for startups, but for anyone looking to innovate. We decided to test the waters by organizing a few pilot workshops. The first was focused on product development and scaling strategies, areas where we had considerable expertise. We invited a mix of clients, startups, and local tech enthusiasts. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with attendees appreciating the practical insights and hands-on approach. Encouraged by the success of the pilot workshops, we expanded the program, offering a range of topics from advanced coding techniques to wellness and productivity strategies. Each workshop was designed to provide tangible value, combining technical expertise with holistic well-being practices. Laura played a crucial role in the development of these workshops. Her background in fitness and wellness added a unique dimension, helping participants understand the importance of balancing hard work with self-care. We integrated sessions on stress management, mindfulness, and physical fitness into our technical workshops, creating a comprehensive learning experience. One memorable workshop was held at a beautiful retreat center just outside Seattle. The setting was perfect for combining intense learning sessions with relaxing wellness activities. We had experts from various fields sharing their knowledge, while Laura led morning yoga sessions and guided meditation breaks. The impact was profound. Participants not only gained valuable technical skills, but also left feeling rejuvenated and inspired. It was clear that we were onto something special, and we decided to make these retreats a core part of Innovatech's offerings. As we expanded our horizons, I also made a point to nurture my personal growth and interests. Laura and I continued to sail, but we also explored new hobbies together. We took up photography, capturing the stunning landscapes of the Pacific Northwest. These adventures brought us even closer, creating a treasure trove of shared memories. One weekend, during a sailing trip, Laura and I anchored near a secluded island. The scenery was breathtaking, with lush forests and pristine beaches. As we hiked through the woods, we stumbled upon a small abandoned cabin. It was rustic and overgrown, but something about it captured our imaginations. "Wouldn't it be amazing to restore this place?" Laura mused, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I looked around, envisioning the possibilities. It would. We could turn it into a getaway spot, maybe even a place for private retreats or creative workshops. The idea took hold, and we decided to take on the project. Restoring the cabin became our new adventure, a labor of love that combined our skills and passions. We spent weekends working on it, turning it into a cozy, inviting space. It became our sanctuary, a place where we could escape the hustle and bustle of daily life and reconnect with nature. The cabin project also sparked a new idea for Innovatech. We started offering exclusive small group retreats at the cabin, focusing on creativity, innovation, and personal growth. These intimate gatherings provided a unique, immersive experience that resonated deeply with participants. As Innovatech solutions continued to grow and evolve, so did my relationship with Laura. We were partners in every sense, supporting each other's dreams and celebrating each other's successes. Our life together was rich with love, adventure, and a shared sense of purpose. One evening, as we sat by the fireplace in our newly restored cabin, Laura turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "John, I've been thinking about something." I smiled, curious. "What's on your mind?" "We've built something incredible with Innovatech, but I feel like there's more we can do. What if we started a foundation, focused on empowering underprivileged youth with technology and wellness education?" The idea was inspiring. "That's brilliant, Laura. We could make a real difference, giving young people the tools they need to succeed and thrive." We began laying the groundwork for the Innovatech Foundation, setting up programs and partnerships with local schools and community centers. The foundation aimed to provide access to technology, mentorship, and wellness programs for kids who might not otherwise have these opportunities. The launch of the foundation was a huge success, and the impact was immediate. Seeing the excitement and potential in the eyes of the young participants was incredibly rewarding. It reinforced our belief that Innovatech was more than just a business. It was a force for good. As we continued to expand our horizons, both professionally and personally, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The journey from heartbreak and betrayal to building a thriving business and a loving relationship had been long and challenging, but it had also been incredibly rewarding. With Laura by my side and a future filled with endless possibilities, I embraced each new day with gratitude and excitement. Together, we were building a life rich with purpose, adventure, and love. The past was a chapter that had shaped us, but the future was a blank canvas, waiting to be painted with the vibrant colors of our dreams and aspirations. The success of Innovatech Solutions and the launch of the Innovatech Foundation marked high points in my journey, but as with any venture, new challenges were always on the horizon. As we expanded our services and outreach, the complexities of managing a growing business and a nonprofit organization began to present themselves. One of the first major challenges came in the form of scaling our operations. As demand for our workshops, retreats, and consulting services grew, so did the need for more resources and infrastructure. We needed to hire more staff, find larger office spaces, and ensure that our quality of service remained high. During a team meeting, our operations manager, Megan, raised a critical point. "We're growing rapidly, John, but we need to ensure we're not stretching ourselves too thin. We should consider bringing in more experienced professionals to help manage the workload and maintain our standards." Her advice was sound. I realized that to sustain our growth and success, we needed to invest in our team. We began an intensive recruitment drive, seeking out individuals who not only had the right skills, but also shared our vision and values. It was a meticulous process, but it paid off. We brought on board talented professionals who infused fresh energy and ideas into the company. Another challenge emerged from the unexpected economic downturn. Clients were tightening their budgets, and some of our contracts were postponed or scaled back. It was a tough period, and the uncertainty weighed heavily on all of us. Laura and I spent long nights discussing strategies to navigate this difficult time. "We need to diversify our offerings and find new revenue streams," Laura suggested during one of our brainstorming sessions. "What about virtual workshops and online consulting? It's a growing market, especially with everyone working remotely now." Her idea was brilliant. We quickly adapted our services to the virtual format, offering online workshops, webinars, and remote consulting sessions. The transition wasn't without its challenges, but our team rose to the occasion. We leveraged technology to create engaging and interactive virtual experiences that kept our clients connected and supported. The shift to virtual services also opened up new opportunities. We could now reach a global audience, breaking geographical barriers and expanding our impact. Our online wellness programs, in particular, gained popularity, attracting participants from around the world. It was a silver lining in an otherwise challenging time. During this period, the Innovatech Foundation faced its own set of challenges. Funding was becoming increasingly difficult to secure, and some of our planned initiatives had to be put on hold. Determined to keep the Foundation's mission alive, Laura and I organized fundraising events and reached out to potential donors and partners. One of our most successful initiatives was a virtual charity gala. It was an ambitious project involving months of planning and coordination. We brought together influential speakers, entertainers, and supporters for an evening of inspiration and giving. The event exceeded our expectations, raising significant funds and increasing awareness about our mission. Despite the hurdles, the experience strengthened our resolve and brought our team closer together. We learned to adapt, innovate, and persevere, qualities that would serve us well in future endeavors. The challenges we faced only made our achievements more meaningful, highlighting the resilience and dedication of everyone involved. As the business and foundation stabilized, I took a moment to reflect on the journey so far. The challenges had been numerous, but they had also been opportunities for growth and learning. I was proud of what we had accomplished and grateful for the incredible team that stood by me through thick and thin. One evening, as Laura and I relaxed on the balcony of our cabin, she looked at me with a smile. "You know, John, I think we've proven that we can handle whatever life throws at us." I chuckled, nodding in agreement. "We have, haven't we? And I'm grateful for every moment, even the tough ones. They've made us stronger." Laura squeezed my hand. "I couldn't have asked for a better partner in all of this. Here's to many more adventures together." As we sat there watching the stars twinkle above, I felt a deep sense of contentment. The journey had been far from easy, but it had been incredibly rewarding. With Laura by my side and a team of dedicated individuals supporting us, I was confident that we could face any challenge and continue to grow and thrive. The future was still uncertain, but it was also filled with endless possibilities. Together, we would embrace each new challenge with courage and determination, building a legacy of innovation, compassion, and resilience. And with each step forward, I knew that we were not just facing the future, we were shaping it. With the challenges of scaling our business and adapting to an ever-changing economic landscape behind us, life at Innovatech Solutions and the Innovatech Foundation had settled into a more stable rhythm. But life, as always, had more surprises in store. One of the most unexpected came in the form of an old friend reaching out. It was a typical Wednesday afternoon when I received a message on LinkedIn from an old college buddy, Mark. We had lost touch over the years, each of us caught up in our careers and personal lives. His message was short but intriguing. "Hey John, long time no see. I've been following InnovateX's success. Let's catch up sometime soon." I smiled as I read the message. Mark and I had shared many good times during our college years, and the thought of reconnecting brought back a wave of nostalgia. I quickly replied, setting up a meeting for the following week. When the day arrived, I felt a mix of excitement and curiosity. We met at a trendy cafe in downtown Seattle. As soon as I walked in, I spotted Mark at a corner table, looking much the same but with a few more lines on his face, evidence of the years that had passed. "John, it's great to see you." Mark greeted me with a warm hug. "Mark, it's been too long. How have you been?" I asked, genuinely curious about his life since we last saw each other. As we settled into our seats and ordered coffee, Mark began to fill me in on his journey. He had moved to San Francisco shortly after college and had built a successful career in venture capital. He was now looking to invest in innovative startups and had been impressed by what he had seen from Innovatech Solutions. "I've been following Innovatech's progress, and I'm impressed," Mark said. "The way you've integrated wellness with technology consulting is unique and forward-thinking. I'd love to discuss potential collaborations or investment opportunities." His words took me by surprise. The idea of bringing in a venture capital partner had crossed my mind before, but I had been cautious about finding the right fit. Mark's interest felt serendipitous, a sign that perhaps this was the right time to explore new possibilities. "Thank you, Mark. We've worked hard to build something special," I replied. "I'd love to explore what a collaboration could look like. Let's set up a meeting with Laura and the team to discuss this further." Over the next few weeks, Mark and I worked closely to develop a proposal. We brought Laura and the rest of the leadership team into the discussions, ensuring that everyone's input was considered. Mark's expertise in venture capital and his enthusiasm for Innovatech's mission made him an ideal partner. We decided to host a company-wide event to announce the new partnership and celebrate the next phase of Innovatech's growth. The event was held at our favorite retreat center, a place that had become symbolic of our journey and success. The day of the event was filled with excitement and anticipation. Employees, clients, and partners gathered to hear about our plans for the future. Mark took the stage alongside me, and we shared our vision for Innovatech's next chapter. "Today, we're not just celebrating our past successes," I began, addressing the crowd. "We're looking forward to a future filled with new opportunities and collaborations. I'm thrilled to announce our partnership with Mark and his venture capital firm, which will help us expand our reach and impact." Mark stepped forward, his enthusiasm evident. "Innovatech Solutions is a pioneer in combining technology and wellness. I'm excited to be part of this journey and to help take this incredible company to new heights." The announcement was met with applause and cheers, and the event became a joyous celebration of our shared vision and goals. It was a moment of validation, a testament to the hard work and dedication of everyone involved. As the event continued, I took a moment to reflect on how far we had come. From the early days of rebuilding my life to the challenges and triumphs of growing Innovatech, it has been an incredible journey. The reunion with Mark felt like a full-circle moment, bringing together the past and the future in a powerful way. After the event, Laura and I sat on the balcony of our cabin, the same place where so many of our dreams had been discussed and planned. The stars were bright, and the air was crisp, a perfect night to reflect on the day's events. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Laura asked, her eyes shining with pride and joy. "It's been an incredible journey," I agreed, taking her hand in mine. "And it feels like we're just getting started. With Mark's partnership and our amazing team, the future looks brighter than ever." Laura smiled, leaning into me. "Here's to the future, John. Whatever challenges and adventures come our way, I know well face them together. As we sat there enjoying the quiet beauty of the night, I felt a deep sense of contentment and anticipation. The reunion with Mark not only reconnected me with an old friend, but also opened up new possibilities for Innovatech solutions. The future was filled with promise, and with Laura by my side and a dedicated team supporting us, I was ready to embrace it. Together, we would continue to innovate, inspire, and make a difference in the world. And as we looked forward to the next chapter, I knew that the journey ahead would be just as rewarding and fulfilling as the path that had brought us here. With the new partnership with Mark's venture capital firm in place, Innovatech Solutions entered a phase of rapid expansion. The influx of resources and expertise allowed us to scale our operations, launch new initiatives, and reach a wider audience. However, with growth came unforeseen challenges, and one of the most significant tests of my resilience was just around the corner. A few months into our expansion, we received an offer from a major tech conglomerate interested in acquiring Innovatech Solutions. The proposal was lucrative and came with promises of vast resources and a global platform. It was an offer that demanded serious consideration. We convened a meeting with our leadership team to discuss the offer. The room was filled with a mixture of excitement and apprehension as we weighed the potential benefits and risks. "This could take Innovatech to the next level," Megan, our operations manager, said. "The resources and reach they offer are unparalleled." Laura, always the voice of reason, added, "But we need to consider the impact on our culture and values. We've built something special here. We don't want to lose that in the pursuit of growth." Mark, now a crucial part of our team, leaned forward. "I've seen these acquisitions go both ways. It can be a fantastic opportunity, but it can also lead to loss of control and vision. We need to be very clear about our goals and non-negotiables." After hours of deliberation, we decided to engage in preliminary negotiations, setting strict terms to protect our company's integrity and values. We outlined conditions that would ensure our team's autonomy, the continuation of our wellness initiatives, and our commitment to innovation and social impact. Negotiations were intense and complex. The tech conglomerate's representatives were keen on the acquisition, but hesitant to agree to all our terms. It was a delicate dance of compromise and assertion, and the process stretched over several weeks. During this time, another challenge emerged that tested my strength and resilience. Laura began experiencing severe headaches and fatigue, symptoms that concerned us both. After a series of medical consultations and tests, we received devastating news. Laura was diagnosed with a rare neurological condition. The diagnosis hit us hard. Laura had been my rock, my partner in every sense. Seeing her in pain and facing an uncertain future was unbearable. We decided to temporarily step back from our professional commitments to focus on her health and treatment. The leadership team, bolstered by Mark's presence, stepped up to manage the negotiations and daily operations. Their dedication and competence were a testament to the strong foundation we had built at Innovatech. Laura's treatment required frequent trips to a specialized medical center in another state. The journey was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. We leaned on each other for support, finding strength in our love and shared determination to overcome this challenge. One evening, as we sat in her hospital room, Laura took my hand. "John, no matter what happens, I want you to keep pushing forward. Innovatech is our legacy. Promise me you won't give up." Tears filled my eyes as I nodded. "I promise, Laura. We'll get through this together, and Innovatech will continue to thrive." Laura's condition gradually stabilized, and we adjusted to a new normal. Her strength and resilience were awe-inspiring, and her positive outlook motivated me to stay focused and hopeful. Back at Innovatech, the negotiations reached a critical juncture. The tech conglomerate finally agreed to our terms, recognizing the value of maintaining our unique culture and vision. The acquisition was finalized, providing us with the resources and platform to expand globally while preserving our core values. With the acquisition complete, we embarked on a new chapter of growth and innovation. Innovatech's reach expanded, our programs flourished, and our impact deepened. We launched new initiatives, including a global wellness program and a series of tech innovation hubs in underserved communities. Throughout this period, Laura's health remained a priority. We balanced our professional commitments with her treatment and recovery, cherishing every moment together. Her resilience and unwavering support continued to inspire me, and our bond grew even stronger. One sunny afternoon, as we sat on the balcony of our cabin, Laura looked out at the view with a serene smile. "We've come so far, John, and there's still so much more to do." I nodded, filled with gratitude and determination. "Yes, there is, and we'll face it all together." As we embraced the future, I felt a profound sense of purpose and resolve. The journey had been filled with challenges and triumphs, and through it all, we had grown stronger and more resilient. With Laura by my side and a dedicated team supporting us, I knew that Innovatech Solutions would continue to thrive and make a difference in the world. Together, we faced each new day with courage and optimism, ready to embrace whatever the future held. The path ahead was uncertain, but we were prepared to navigate it with strength, love, and unwavering determination. With Laura's health stabilizing and Innovatech Solutions thriving under the new partnership, we found ourselves standing at the threshold of a new dawn. The journey had been arduous, but the view from this point was breathtaking. It was a testament to resilience, love, and the unyielding human spirit. The global expansion of Innovatech Solutions brought with it a myriad of new opportunities. Our wellness programs and tech innovation hubs were making a significant impact, reaching communities we had only dreamed of touching. The success of our initiatives reinforced our belief in the power of combining technology with holistic well-being. One morning, as I reviewed the latest reports in my office, Megan knocked on the door. "John, there's someone here to see you," she said, her tone hinting at a pleasant surprise. I looked up, curious. "Who is it?" "It's someone who has been deeply inspired by our work and wants to thank you personally." Intrigued, I followed Megan to the reception area. There stood a young woman, perhaps in her early 20s, with a determined expression and a spark in her eyes. As I approached, she extended her hand. "Mr. Anderson, my name is Rachel. I'm a recipient of one of Innovatech's scholarships. I wanted to thank you in person for the incredible opportunities your foundation has provided me." I was taken aback, not by her gratitude, but by the realization of the far-reaching impact of our efforts. "Rachel, it's a pleasure to meet you. Please tell me more about your journey." We sat down, and Rachel began to share her story. She had grown up in a low-income neighborhood with limited access to quality education and resources. The Innovatech Foundation scholarship allowed her to pursue a degree in computer science. She had recently graduated with honors and was now working on a startup aimed at using technology to improve access to healthcare in underserved communities. Her story was both humbling and inspiring. It reminded me of why we had started Innovatech in the first place: to make a difference, to empower individuals, and to drive positive change. Rachel's visit sparked an idea. I discussed it with Laura that evening as we enjoyed a quiet dinner at home. What if we created a mentorship program within Innovatech? We could pair our experienced professionals with scholarship recipients like Rachel to provide guidance and support. Laura's eyes lit up. "That's a wonderful idea, John. It would create a strong support network and help these young talents reach their full potential." We wasted no time in turning the idea into reality. The Innovatech Mentorship Program was launched within a few months, pairing experienced professionals from our team with students and young entrepreneurs. The program provided not only technical guidance, but also personal and professional development support. The mentorship program quickly became one of our most impactful initiatives. It fostered a sense of community and mutual growth as mentors and mentees learned from each other and grew together. It was a powerful reminder that success was not just about individual achievement, but about lifting others as we climbed. As the months passed, Innovatech Solutions continued to flourish. Our global presence expanded, and we forged new partnerships with organizations that shared our vision of combining technology with well-being. The tech innovation hubs in underserved communities became thriving centers of creativity and development, sparking local economies and inspiring future generations. Laura and I also took time to focus on our personal lives. We continued to explore new hobbies and adventures together, cherishing every moment. Her health had improved significantly, and we were grateful for the progress she had made. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to a small coastal town we had always wanted to visit. It was a perfect getaway, filled with long walks on the beach, exploring quaint shops, and savoring local cuisine. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the ocean, Laura turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "John, "There's something I've been thinking about," she said softly. "We've built an incredible life together, and Innovatec is making such a difference in the world. But I want to do something more personal, something that combines our love for adventure and our desire to give back." I looked at her, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" "What if we started a travel blog, documenting our adventures and using it as a platform to raise awareness and funds for various causes? We could share our experiences, highlight important issues, and inspire others to make a difference." The idea was brilliant, and it resonated deeply with me. "I love it, Laura. It's a perfect way to blend our passions and make an impact." We returned from the trip with a renewed sense of purpose and excitement. We began working on the blog, capturing our travels through photos and stories, and linking each post to a cause we cared about. The blog quickly gained traction, attracting a community of like-minded individuals who were inspired by our journey and eager to contribute to the causes we highlighted. As our blog grew, so did our sense of fulfillment. It was another way to give back, to share our love for life and adventure, and to make a difference in the world. It was a reminder that life was not just about the destination, but the journey and the impact we made along the way. As we stood on the brink of this new adventure, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. From the depths of despair and betrayal to the heights of success and fulfillment, it had been an incredible ride. With Laura by my side and a future filled with endless possibilities, I knew that we were ready to embrace whatever came next. Together, we faced the new dawn with hope, courage, and an unwavering commitment to making the world a better place, one step at a time. As we continued our journey, I was reminded that the greatest adventures were the ones we shared with those we loved, creating memories and making a difference along the way. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos.